The Cabinet of Dr Caligari is mostly known for the visual aspects of its stage design. Rather than a realistic city, it depicts an exaggerated, expressionist idea of a city, with twisted and distorted forms reinforcing the story. I work in architecture, thus I'm very interested in fictional architecture. Very early cinema was a novelty, just with the basic capture of reality being groundbreaking. But as the medium became more established, fantastical experimentation quickly began. Alita, Queen of Mars, has fantastic sci-fi sets. Metropolis has some of the most iconic imagery in early cinema. The design and architectural styles of the time were adapted into set design for an image of the future. Predating both of those examples, though, is 1920's The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, which shows not an imagined future, but an exaggerated realistic setting. More importantly, several years ago I promised fellow reviewer Z-Note I'd write a review of this movie. Oops, better late than never. Spoiler warning for the whole movie, by the way. The film opens in a realistic location with a story as a framing device, purporting to tell the tale of what happened to the distant-looking woman, Jane, wandering through the shot. The rest of the film is this story being told, until it reaches up to the present-day situation and the realistic set returns. On a first viewing, I didn't think much about this. Setting up a hook at the start of the story is important, and framing it as a story gives complete freedom to skip past any boring parts and get right to what's important. However, the aesthetics of this framing device are actually very important, and it all clearly fits together in the end. As a horror story, the plot builds up to a confrontation between the main characters and Dr. Caligari, as he sends his somnambulist out at night for his own mysterious aims. And of course, there is an ominous prediction that a main character will die, because every scary story needs that. A hypnotist, Dr. Caligari, at a traveling fair has a sleepwalker, who predicts the death of Francis's friend Alan. That prediction proves correct, by way of someone breaking into his home and stabbing him to death. The eventual reveal within the story is that Dr. Caligari is the director of a mental asylum. He's been using patients for his sick crimes and experiments. But the eventual reveal of the film itself is that the main character, Francis, who was telling the story, is also a patient at the asylum. In the opening of the film, he's not a concerned visitor, he's one of the patients too. And it should have been obvious all along, as the very architecture was screaming that at you. The entire story within a story is framed by exaggerated and twisted forms because it stems from the mind of a madman. And he's become deluded that the director of the asylum he lives in is a criminal. Bum bum bum! This is not a particularly novel interpretation of the film or anything. I'm not saying I found a new secret of the movie that's over 100 years old. Rather, I just appreciate the expressionist approach of Dr. Caligari. The very architecture of the world is commonly used for background detail and world building, but with a focus on visual fidelity and verisimilitude in movies, it's rare for a story to commit wholeheartedly to abstraction. At least in live action. Shoutouts to all the great and wild abstract animation out there. Thanks for watching.